I've never seen an anime with a plot progressing so fast. The male and female protagonists don't know anything about each other, but the next second, they become a legal couple who can sleep in the same bed. The male protagonist of this anime is named NASA, because the pronunciation of the name is similar to the abbreviation of National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. He has been teased by his friends since childhood. To make himself worthy of this high-end name, he vows to enter the best high school. Convinced that he will successfully achieve his dream, he chooses one of Japan's top high schools when he fills in his application. Even though the head teacher reminds him that he can write more schools as alternatives, he insists on his decision. However, all things have changed completely because of an accident. The night before the high school entrance exam, NASA has an accident in order to talk to a girl. Even though the girl rescues him, he is still severely injured and falls into the blood. Seeing the girl walking toward the moon, NASA thinks she is like Princess Kaguya. At this very moment, he realizes that if he misses the chance to confess to her, he'll regret it for the rest of his life. Determined to engage in conversation with the girl, NASA refuses to take on the ambulance and struggles to catch up with her. The girl is named Tsukasa. Seeing NASA running over with a bloody face, Tsukasa can't help but remind him to cherish life. She gently wipes the blood from NASA's face and gives him her coat. She plans to call another ambulance for him, asking him to wait at the station. However, NASA is reluctant to part with Tsukasa. He once again catches up with her, costing the last of his strength to confess his feelings to her. Tsukasa is impressed by NASA's persistence, offering to date him on the premise of marriage. Overly thrilled, NASA agrees to her request before fainting. But since that day, NASA has not seen Tsukasa again. Busy studying and rehabilitating every day, he has a very fulfilling life. Unfortunately, he missed the high school entrance examination and had to repeat his studies for a year. A year later, NASA is admitted to his target high school with the highest score in the city. However, he chooses to drop out. He wants to see Tsukasa again, but he doesn't have any of her contacts. Hence, NASA gets jobs that allow him to meet different customers. Meanwhile, to not worry his parents, he rents a small condo to live alone. To his surprise, when NASA reaches 18, Tsukasa suddenly appears on his doorstep. Having not seen her for such a long time, NASA feels quite nervous facing Tsukasa's cuteness. Even more surprising, Tsukasa directly proposes to marry him. Although NASA is confused about it, he likes Tsukasa very much, and he cooperates in filling out the marriage application. Since the marriage registry in Japan is open 24 hours, they decide to submit the marriage application immediately. The registry staff extends their congratulations to the couple and presents them with a wedding gift. NASA is taken aback by the simplicity of the marriage process, almost like a dream. To make NASA realize the fact that they are married, Tsukasa suggests they hold hands. Since NASA has never held a girl's hand before, he experiences a mixture of shyness and happiness the moment he touches Tsukasa. But NASA isn't ready to live with Tsukasa yet because his condo is too small. Looking at the only single bed in the bedroom, NASA can't help but fantasize about them lying in bed together, only to be discovered by Tsukasa because he forgot to lock the door of the room. Tsukasa thinks the bed is too small, and it will be uncomfortable for them to sleep together. Since there is only one quilt at home, Tsukasa decides to stay in a hotel for one night. Seeing Tsukasa leaving, NASA suddenly feels a strong sense of unease, which prompts him to catch up with Tsukasa. He decides to buy quilts right now to have Tsukasa stay and sleep for the night. Getting the new quilt, Tsukasa lays it on the floor and invites NASA to feel the new quilt with her. But NASA rejects Tsukasa's request out of shyness. Before going to bed, Tsukasa finds that there's neither bathroom nor spare toiletry in the condo. She then holds the hand of NASA, heading to the convenience store, where NASA buys nightwear for Tsukasa. It is their first night together, and NASA blushes at the thought of sleeping with Tsukasa in the same room. No matter what outfit Tsukasa wears, NASA thinks her adorable. When the moonlight shines on her, he feels that she is as fascinating as an artwork. This is his first time spending the night with a girl. NASA is overcome with excitement throughout the night, unable to fall asleep. Observing Tsukasa's peaceful sleeping face, he notices that she not only sprawls across the bed, but also gets up in the middle of the night to drink water. Later, she even snatches NASA's quilt. Yet, he still thinks she is adorable and feels satisfied just silently watching her. After their first night together, they give each other nicknames. From this moment on, their happy life gradually opens its curtain. In the morning, Tsukasa puts on an apron, preparing breakfast for NASA. Looking at her outfit, NASA can't help but sigh that she is like a newlywed wife. Hearing this, Tsukasa corrects NASA, saying that she is indeed his wife. Opening NASA's fridge, Tsukasa is surprised to see a variety of food. NASA explains he aims at a healthy diet, and after analyzing the nutrients that adult men need every day, he designed the perfect recipe for efficient nutrition intake. Hot pot. But he eats the same thing every day, which makes Tsukasa consider him as someone who doesn't know how to enjoy his life. It only takes her 10 minutes to make a delicious and nutritious breakfast. Without a bathroom, they have to go to a nearby bathhouse every day to take a shower. After breakfast, Tsukasa takes NASA to buy a set of skincare products, which gives him a new understanding of the girl's world, as NASA never expects a girl's skincare routine to be so cumbersome. The bathhouse NASA frequents is managed by Kaname, his junior. While cleaning at the bathhouse entrance, Kaname encounters NASA and Tsukasa. Learning they are married, she is quite surprised. To celebrate their marriage, Kaname decides to offer Tsukasa a complimentary service. As Tsukasa enters the bathhouse, Kaname stops NASA for further conversation. She always assumed that NASA had little interest in romantic relationships and was only immersed in studying. She never expected that he would marry at such a young age. Since NASA never thinks of proposing or having a wedding, Kaname emphasizes the meaning of marriage to him. As a husband, NASA must show love to Tsukasa to make her happy. NASA admits that he is not ready to get married, but he is very fond of Tsukasa and he is confident that he will make Tsukasa happy. At this time, Tsukasa accidentally hears NASA's confession. Feeling shy and happy, while bathing, Tsukasa meets Kaname's sister, Aya. Aya is a very enthusiastic girl. She insists that she has disturbed Tsukasa and decides to apologize to her by rubbing her back. Japanese women usually take their husband's surnames after marriage, so when Aya learns Tsukasa's name, she asks about her relationship with NASA. Tsukasa replies that they are a family, causing Aya to mistake Tsukasa for NASA's sister. At that moment, Tsukasa expresses her curiosity about how Aya and NASA crossed paths, prompting Aya to share their tale. Aya and NASA were classmates during their junior high school years. When the bathhouse faced a crisis, NASA stepped in and offered a comprehensive solution that greatly improved its operations. Aya deeply appreciates NASA for his assistance, and this bond between them is evident. After learning their story and observing their close interactions, Tsukasa can't help but feel a twinge of jealousy. Moreover, given NASA's consistent compliments about Aya's cuteness, Tsukasa's emotions are further stirred. Detecting Tsukasa's unusual mood, NASA mistakenly assumes that she's feeling unsettled about their wedding plans. Consequently, as they pass by a church, NASA decides to spontaneously arrange a wedding to bring happiness to Tsukasa. Tsukasa returns home alone, feeling lonely. When the doorbell rings, Tsukasa thinks it is NASA and quickly opens the door, only to see her sister Chitose. Tsukasa seems to be very resistant to Chitose and refuses to communicate with her. She tells Chitose that she has been married and prefers to be left alone. After that, Chitose doesn't leave but stays downstairs crying, which happens to be seen by NASA. Knowing that NASA is her sister's husband, Chitose gets furious, because in her eyes, nobody deserves her sister Tsukasa. However, NASA doesn't mind what Chitose said to him, and after knowing Tsukasa lived in Chitose's place for a long time, he invites her to dinner to show his gratitude. However, Chitose still refuses to accept NASA as her sister's husband. To break them apart, she has her bodyguards capture NASA and forcibly bring him to her house. Chitose plans to make NASA close to a maid and take pictures of them, so that Tsukasa will think that NASA has betrayed her. NASA, of course, won't be at the mercy of Chitose's arrangement. While Chitose is talking to the maid, he takes the opportunity to escape. Since Chitose's mansion is quite big and luxurious, NASA happens to walk into Tsukasa's room during his escape. To his surprise, he sees a moon rock in the room. The moon rocks brought back by Apollo are all national treasures of the United States, and except for those for public exhibition, most are kept in Houston. So NASA can't believe the moon rock is real. At that very moment, a group of maids finds NASA, and one of them is named Charlotte. She claims that the moon rock holds immense significance for Tsukasa, and anyone intruding into the room will be wiped out by her. During their argument, Charlotte's sword accidentally hits the glass case of the moon rock. To prevent any harm to the moon rock, NASA promptly asks the maids to fetch tools for repairing the glass case. Meanwhile, Chitose hurries over, appearing anxious, which confirms NASA's suspicion that the moon rock is real. Chitose then explains that her grandmother lent the moon rock to comfort Tsukasa. With limited knowledge about Tsukasa's past and the significance of the moon rock, NASA remains perplexed. Noticing this, Chitose becomes even more convinced that NASA isn't qualified to be Tsukasa's husband because he knows nothing about Tsukasa. She firmly believes she is the perfect partner for Tsukasa because she has vowed to dedicate her life to Tsukasa ever since she was rescued by her during childhood. Following Chitosa's wishes, Charlotte forcibly hugs Nasa, pressing his head into her private part, while another maid takes pictures of them and uses a retouching app to make Nasa look like a very lecherous person. Just then, Tsukasa shows up and happens to see the picture. She pretends to be angry and takes the opportunity to escape through the secret passage with Nasa. The exit of the secret passage is a church, which Tsukasa has been considering a beautiful place, and she finally gets a chance to bring Nasa here. Just then, Nasa notices that the vibe between them and the location is perfect, taking the initiative to propose to Tsukasa. He wants to be a supportive couple with her, going through both happiness and sadness together. In the end, Nasa kisses Tsukasa and vows to only love her for the rest of his life. When they get home, Tsukasa plans to watch a film she is looking forward to, only to find there is no TV in Nasa's home. Tsukasa loves watching films and she wants them to have some hobbies in common. Therefore, Tsukasa recommends many films for Nasa, urging him to watch them as soon as possible. Nasa didn't expect Tsukasa to love films so much. Though he isn't into films, he still agrees to her request and takes her to the store to get a TV. Subsequently, while taking a bath at the bathhouse, Nasa shares his marriage proposal with Kaname. However, Kaname is very dissatisfied with Nasa's proposal words. She believes verbal promises are not enough and a wedding ring is indispensable. Although the wife may not show her interest in luxurious stuff in front of her husband, she is just protecting her husband's self-esteem and doesn't really mean she has no desire for the stuff. After bathing, Nasa and Tsukasa go for a walk in the park. Looking at Tsukasa's cute face, he can't help but kiss her. The two maids of Chitose happen to see it, but to not anger Chitose, they decide to keep it secret. Nasa has never understood the meaning of a wedding ring. Not until he has to separate from Tsukasa for work does he realize that a wedding ring is to make them feel each other's presence when they are separated. However, when Nasa offers to buy a ring for Tsukasa, she rejects it. There are two types of rings. One is the diamond ring for engagement, which is usually ornate and will only be worn on important occasions. The other is wedding rings, which will be worn every day, so the shape is relatively simple. Diamond rings are expensive, and if he buys 3 rings, Nasa will cost a fortune. Tsukasa guesses that he does not yet know the price of diamonds, so she takes him to the jewelry store trying to discourage him. Sure enough, Nasa is indeed shocked by the high price of diamond rings, but he thinks it is proof of their love, insisting on buying one. Tsukasa doesn't want Nasa to spend all his savings on buying the ring, hurriedly stopping him. Nasa, however, explains the meaning of the ring to Tsukasa. He can't be with Tsukasa all the time, so he wants to have the ring accompany her. Tsukasa is so touched that she takes the initiative to kiss Nasa. Eventually, they go to a mid-grade jewelry store and get the cheapest wedding rings. After that, Nasa eventually comes to the realization that their small condo isn't suitable for a couple to live in. As previously mentioned, Tsukasa isn't a quiet sleeper. She will snatch Nasa's quilt every day and get onto his bed at midnight. When they lie side by side on the narrow bed, Nasa can't help but pull her close in a hug. Tsukasa does not refuse him and even kisses him. However, it doesn't take long for her to return to the floor. Nasa is so longing to have an intimate relationship with Tsukasa that he can't fall asleep for the whole night. To realize the idea of sleeping with Tsukasa, Nasa decides to move to a larger apartment. Unexpectedly, Tsukasa thinks the opposite. The small place makes her feel the presence of Nasa better. Hearing this, Nasa feels shy, but he does not give up on moving. Kaname is furious to learn that they have been living in a small apartment without a bathroom. If her future husband makes her live in such a place, she will definitely beat him up. Later, Nasa accidentally bumps into Tsukasa changing clothes, and he takes this opportunity to explain to Tsukasa the disadvantages of a small room. In addition to this, he tempts Tsukasa with a special film screening room. Eventually, Tsukasa is convinced and agrees to move. When Tsukasa mentions that they need a guarantor for renting a house, Nasa realizes that he hasn't told his parents about getting married, so he calls his mother to tell her that he has married the cutest girl in the universe. Tsukasa blushes when she heard Nasa's praise to her. Out of courtesy, Tsukasa proposes they go together to meet Nasa's parents. Unexpectedly, Nasa's mother already knows he intends to have her be his guarantor for renting a new apartment, so she proposes a condition that he must bring Tsukasa back. The hometown of Nasa is in Nara. There is no direct shuttle bus between Tokyo and Nara, so they need to go to Kyoto first to transfer. Nasa plans to take the opportunity to stay in Kyoto for one night as their honeymoon trip, while Tsukasa also takes a camera to record their memories. Nasa is interested in photographing, having taken a lot of pictures of Tsukasa. Later, they get on the bus to Kyoto together. Tsukasa holds the belief that NASA's parents must be kind-hearted people and eagerly anticipates the chance to meet them. Meanwhile, Chitose has dispatched someone to tail them discreetly and is surprised to note Tsukasa is not only going to meet NASA's parents, but they're also embarking on a honeymoon together. Driven by the desire to break them apart, Chitose resolves to follow them along the journey. Upon arriving at the service area, Chitose notices that NASA has left his wallet on the bus. She thinks NASA's carelessness will surely enrage Tsukasa. However, Tsukasa doesn't hold NASA accountable for small mistakes and even holds his hand. Together they come to the cafeteria, where Tsukasa sees an advertisement for lime udon and decides to try the new dish. Although the taste of lime udon is very strange, the scene of them feeding each other is very sweet. Seeing them get along well without any quarrels, Chitose feels very upset. While NASA goes to the bathroom, Chitose comes to Tsukasa, accusing her of being obsessed with love like ordinary girls. At this time, a trick show starts its shooting in the service area. In order not to be involved in the show, Tsukasa hurriedly pulls NASA back to the bus. Because Chitose has always been very opposed to her marriage, Tsukasa is afraid that NASA's parents will not like her either. Upon arrival in Kyoto, NASA plans to take Tsukasa to experience the local history and culture. At his urging, Tsukasa changes into a kimono. Just as NASA is mesmerized by Tsukasa, Chitose suddenly appears in front of them. NASA wants their marriage to be blessed by all, so he decides to talk with Chitose to gain her approval. As Chitose believes that only through intimacy can she get to know him better, she proposes to pretend to be a couple with NASA, at which point she will judge whether he is worthy of Tsukasa based on his performance. Brimming with confidence, NASA takes Chitose to visit Kyoto and enjoy the local cuisine based on the travel guide he prepared. Witnessing NASA's perfect performance, Chitose comes to the realization that he perfectly matches Tsukasa's ideal partner. Even so, she feels quite resistant, believing herself to be the one who knows Tsukasa best. Chitose argues that NASA knows nothing about Tsukasa's past. To make Chitose understand the deep feelings between him and Tsukasa, NASA tells her about their fateful encounter. From the moment he saw Tsukasa, he thought of her as his destined partner. Even though he doesn't know much about Tsukasa's past, he's resolved to spend the rest of his life demonstrating his unwavering love. Eventually, Chitose is persuaded by his touching words and stops following them. After that, NASA and Tsukasa get on the train to Nara. He tells Tsukasa that his father is an archaeologist who once taught at Tokyo National University. It wasn't until he began to live alone that his father decided to go to Nara to do archaeological excavations. Coupled with the fact that his mother likes Nara's deer, they settled there. To NASA's surprise, as soon as they arrive in Nara, Tsukasa recognizes the surrounding mountains. She says even after 1,000 years, the appearance of the mountain does not change. NASA doesn't understand the meaning of her words, thinking that Tsukasa is just nervous. Just then, he finds his mother hiding in the doorway peeking at them, seemingly even more nervous than he and Tsukasa. As they officially greet each other, NASA's father asks Tsukasa to have a private conversation, where he reveals to her that NASA is very important to them. When he learned that NASA had an accident, he was terrified. He is grateful to Tsukasa for saving NASA and is very supportive of their marriage. Tsukasa is glad that she has the approval of NASA's father and hopes that they will get along well in the future. Meanwhile, NASA's mother reminds him that she and his father's room is next door to NASA's, and thus NASA should be careful about the noise he and Tsukasa make at night. NASA soon realizes that they are going to sleep together. Thinking that his parents are in the next room, NASA is both nervous and a little excited. Before falling asleep, he asks Tsukasa for a goodnight kiss. Although they don't have an intimate interaction, NASA feels happy and satisfied. Tsukasa is very adaptable and can sleep well wherever she goes. Upon awakening, she mistakenly thinks NASA is sleeping and directly changes her clothes in the room. Unbeknownst to her, NASA is just feigning sleep. After peeking at Tsukasa's private parts, he blushes. Following breakfast, Tsukasa intends to explore historical sites in Nara with NASA. Even though she isn't attracted by the ancient buildings, she has a wide knowledge of history and tells NASA many things about history. After the tour, they say goodbye to NASA's parents and embark on their homeward journey. Unexpectedly, a fire broke out in the small apartment of NASA due to a bolt of falling lightning, causing them to lose their accommodation. Thankfully, NASA finds the gift they got from the staff of the marriage registry office in the ruins. He tells Tsukasa not to worry, because he kept all their passbooks and valuables in the safe he rented. Moreover, when he applied for insurance, he prepared various claim materials and stored them in cloud servers and safes. Despite the misfortune that happened, NASA does not complain, but thinks about how to deal with it, which makes Tsukasa feel that she really found the right person and her love for NASA grows. Learning of what has happened to them, Kan-am offers a residence for them to stay. Rejoiced, NASA immediately tells the good news to Tsukasa. Kan-am's house is very spacious and they feel so grateful to her. Tsukasa believes the reason why Kaname offers to help them is that Nasa is a very kind person. Receiving a compliment from Tsukasa, Nasa can't help but blush a little. Little do they know now that Aya likes Nasa very much, but she seems to not yet realize that Nasa and Tsukasa are a couple. Not until Aya's mother explains it to her does she know she has fallen out of love, but she is not degraded by this. Instead, she gives her sincerest wishes to Nasa. A few days later, Tsukasa and Nasa come to the laundromat together. Since the majority of Tsukasa's clothes were destroyed in the fire, she has no intimate clothes to wear today. Feeling extremely shy, she asks Nasa not to look at her. However, Nasa appears to be quite excited and takes a photo as a souvenir. Following that, Nasa takes Tsukasa to the shopping mall to buy new clothes, but whatever Tsukasa wears, he thinks her adorably charming. Then, Tsukasa and Nasa will start a new life in Kaname's house. Tsukasa is quite good at cooking, and she prepares a very delicious tonkatsu for Nasa. She tells Nasa that she wants to conquer his heart with delicious food so that he can never leave her. These words make Nasa very shy. Soon after, the landlord of Nasa's previous condo calls to tell him that he is going to rebuild the house, and if Nasa is willing to continue renting, the rent would be the same. For reference, he leaves the address of the sample house to Nasa. As the conditions provided by the landlord sound not bad, Nasa takes Tsukasa to visit the sample house. To their surprise, the sample house turns out to be a luxury apartment. The view from the bathroom and the queen-size double bed are so desirable. Seeing this, they agree to sleep in the same bed when they move into the new apartment. Unfortunately, they then receive an email from the landlord at the end of the tour saying that he accidentally sent the wrong address of the sample house, and he apologizes to him in the email. Nasa is a bit disappointed, but Tsukasa reassures him that whatever kind of house has its advantages and disadvantages. She doesn't care about the size of the house, as long as Nasa is there. It is her destination. Nasa thinks the same way as Tsukasa, but he still wants her to have a better life. Given that they still need to stay in Kaname's residence for a while, Tsukasa decides to help Kaname with the daily cleaning of the bathhouse in return. Kaname shows her the cleaning tools in the bathhouse. Seeing this, Tsukasa holds a deep admiration for Kaname. Although having a robot sweeper, it is still a difficult task for Kaname to clean every corner of the bathhouse. Over time spent together, the relationship between the two girls becomes closer. One day, Nasa takes Tsukasa for a walk in the woods. The quiet surroundings make them feel they are the only ones left in the world. Under such a romantic atmosphere, Nasa can't help but hug Tsukasa from behind. Her body is slender and soft, impressing him a lot. They express their love for each other and vow to be together forever. In the following story, Tsukasa encounters Chitose while passing by the small apartment Nasa used to live in. Chitose is surprised that their residence has caught fire and asks where she lives now. Tsukasa lies that they are now living in the park, and then she sneaks away while Chitose isn't paying attention. When she returns home, she finds Nasa working on a kitchen utensil. She tells Nasa that it is used to make takoyaki. Nasa loves takoyaki and decides to throw a takoyaki party, inviting Kaname and Aya to join them. At this moment, Chitose catches up with Tsukasa. She is shocked to learn that Tsukasa has to stay in the bathhouse, since Chitosa's emotion is getting out of control. Kaname suggests that she take a bath to cool off. Surprisingly, Chitose finds herself loving taking a bath in the bathhouse, but she still doesn't want Tsukasa to live here and begs her to come home with her. Tsukasa does not want to be separated from Nasa and rejects Chitose. In order to bring Chitose closer, Nasa invites her to a party, where they decide to play an action game together. Nasa rarely plays games and is the weakest of all. Surprisingly, Tsukasa is very good at playing games. With her excellent gaming skills, she beats everyone. Subsequently, Nasa has a high fever because of working all night. He is very worried that he will infect Tsukasa. However, Tsukasa reassures him that she won't get sick. Nasa's groggy head causes him to fall asleep without much contemplation. Upon awakening, he feels much better. Noticing he sweated a lot during sleep, Tsukasa offers to wipe his body, which makes Nasa think that it is not bad to fall ill occasionally. While sleeping at night, Tsukasa takes the initiative to hug Nasa. She is worried about him and wants him to pay more attention to his health. Nasa promises her, while trying to take the opportunity to have an intimate interaction with her. But as he has not fully recovered, Tsukasa stops his move. As the fireworks festival approaches, Tsukasa changes into a yukata to go out with Nasa. Seeing Tsukasa in her adorable outfit, Nasa becomes captivated by her charm. They hold hands to attend the fireworks display and make a wish in front of the shrine. Tsukasa wishes wishes to have a peaceful world and a happy marriage. She also wishes NASA to be healthy and happy forever since he is the most important person for her. In the end, they enjoy the brilliant fireworks together. NASA vows in his heart that he'll always hold her hand no matter how everything changes. Here comes the end of Fly Me to the Moon. The love between NASA and Tsukasa is very sweet. When they didn't know anything about each other, they still chose to spend the rest of their lives together and eventually live a happy life. As NASA once said, he wasn't getting married because of love. It was to prove his love. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video to help my channel out. Also, remember to subscribe to my channel. Your support means a lot to me. Bye.